I'm a little late to the party with this video, but on Wednesday just gone, here in the UK, the Supreme Court showed a brief moment of common sense by ruling that under the 2010 Equality Act, the term woman only applies to biological females. So now in the UK legally, trans women are men. However, I want to stress this is not an anti-trans video. In my experience, the vast majority of trans people are just trying to live their lives, and if that's you, I wish you the very best. However, the people I refer to as the TQ cult have ruined it for everyone. And by the TQ cult, I mean the hardliners, the people who say that if a man identifies as a woman, he is a woman and there are no differences. The people who demand the rest of us ignore observable reality. So the reason this ruling has come about is this. In the UK, it used to be for a person to change sex, which of course humans can't do, they would have to live for 2 years as the opposite gender and then go before a board of doctors who would say, yes, this person can now legally identify as being the opposite sex. But in 2018, up in Scotland, self-certification was introduced, meaning that I could go up to Edinburgh and fill in a piece of paper and then identify as Disgruntled Danielle. And then, legally, I could go into any woman's space, changing rooms, toilets, whatever, and get out what the TQ cult would call my girl dick. Who could see that could be a problem? Take the case of Adam Graham. This man is a double rapist, and that word just got this video demonetised. A violent sex offender who, whilst awaiting trial, changed his name to Isla Bryson, and because he identified as a woman, the judge sent this fucking monster to a female prison. So, a violent sex offender was locked up with a load of women who have severe mental health problems. Can anyone see the fucking issue? Not only that, but until this ruling came about, transgender police officers, yes, really, coppers who uphold the law but don't observe the laws of reality, so men who dress as women who definitely aren't just cross-dressing perverts living out their fetish in public. A transgender police officer could legally strip search a female suspect. So a man dressed as a woman could carry out a cavity search on any woman he felt like and have the full force of the law behind him. This is the same police service who can't spot Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. And that's the second phrase that will get this demonetised. And now, rather predictably, the meltdown has begun.
This ruling is not about clarity, it's about control. It denies both science and society, and it is celebrating exclusion over empathy and understanding. And just a reminder, no one, especially not some old white man speaking in a received pronunciation accent, has the right to tell you who you are or who you are not. This is shameful. This shows how far we have fallen from having any sense of empathy or critical thinking skills. And it is a disappointing day.
A white man speaking with received pronunciation, says the woman speaking with received pronunciation. If you're not from the UK, received pronunciation is this. It's speaking as if you worked for the BBC in the 1940s. It isn't about a lack of empathy or control or white supremacy or whatever the fuck it is she's banging on about. What that woman with her hideous septum piercing doesn't realise is this ruling essentially stops her from being sexually assaulted if she goes for a piss in a public toilet. Mate, you've got a beard like mine. No one ever thought you were a woman. You're just a cross-dressing weirdo. You haven't lost any rights whatsoever, other than the right to invade women's spaces where you aren't welcome. So, that's a man who thinks he's a woman. Let's see a woman who thinks she's a man.
So, as my newfound freedom as a woman, I'm going to be applied to as many sports teams as I can. Because I think I dominate now. I think I'd actually win some medals. You know, I dominate women's sports. You know, if you saw J.K. Rowling in the bathroom. Do you know what I mean? Yeah? I stand a chance now. I was always a sporty kid, but I got a little bit fat. But now I'm a woman again. all the medals are mine.
The reason I've put my logo over that person is that technically that's a topless woman. Also, I don't want to show someone showing off their top surgery scars. There's nothing healthy about a woman lopping her tits off. But this ruling does not apply to her. It only applies to the word woman. She can still identify as a man. However, if it comes to competing in women's sports, that woman, because she's been smashing herself full of testosterone to grow some shitty facial hair and body hair, she'll have too much testosterone, meaning she can only compete in men's sports, where she'll lose. And I find it genuinely disturbing that that young woman, who I'm guessing is either autistic or just a lesbian, and let's be blunt here, there used to be conversion therapy, which was horrendous, pray the gay away, that's been replaced with trans the gay away. But she's so open to being violent to people like J.K. Rowling. She's openly disturbed. Moving on. I muted that clip to get around copyright, but this is what I find baffling. That trans woman has set up her camera and recorded herself crying, feigning grief, the grief that she is no longer a woman because she was born a man. Mate, it's your own community that have done this to you. It's the TQ cult. 10 years ago, no one gave a shit about transvestites, but the TQ cult pushed and pushed and they didn't know when to fucking stop.
I choreographed this dance because I really needed to say this. I'm raising money to cut off my... Woo, you can click on the link in the bio. You can donate here, that's fine too. Help me live my best life. Love you all and thank you.
So that gentleman is from the New World, so the UK ruling doesn't affect him. But I've included that clip to show my own ignorance. I don't get the trans thing. I've never had gender dysphoria. And to be blunt, throughout my life, I have never had any problem where I thought the solution, the thing that would make it better would be cutting my dick off. Good luck with him raising the money. However, maybe you don't need to do anything to be trans, as we'll now see.
You can still identify as trans even if you don't medically transition, keep your birth name, have a non-binary identity, choose not to bind, tuck or pack, aren't out. Trans just means your gender doesn't align with your assigned sex at birth.
If we take that clip seriously, then the word trans doesn't mean anything. And given that in the USA there are now only two genders, and in the UK there's a legal ruling meaning that women are women, finally we've got back to a place of common sense. What a fucking relief. Anyway, that's the end of this video. If you could leave a like or a comment, that helps the algorithm. If you'd like to support me in making these videos, there's a link in the description to buy me a coffee. And as ever, thanks for watching. What could possibly go wrong? Consider the case of... Fuck it. I want to stress that this video isn't anti-trans. It is... fucked it up again. If I ran a business, I would only employ trans women because they wouldn't take time off for maternity leave. You get all the strength of men, but because they identify as women, you can pay them less. The gender pay gap has been debunked many times. White men with received pronunciation, stop projecting your shit onto everyone else. You are a middle-aged white woman speaking with received pronunciation. Own your own crap. That was profound. Profound. A little bollocks. Fuck it. In my opinion, I can't... Oh, wank puffin. Well, switch off, you fucker.